Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and yesterday, with no fanfare whatsoever, Ireland announced their song for Eurovision. They announced the artist, they revealed the song, all those bells and whistles, and without the abysmal national final format, which is good news, I suppose, apart from the fact that because there was no fanfare, I didn't know to bring my flag down from up north, because I brought 5 flags down for all the countries that were going to announce their songs in December and January, and France, who then decided in December that no, we're going to announce in March instead. But the point is, I have an Irish flag. You know I have it, and if you don't, here's some footage of me decidedly having an Irish flag. And that's not a euphemism. But yes, they've finally forsaken their rubbish national final format, at least for this year. And it kind of had been easy to predict, considering they hadn't said anything in the last few months of last year, and so by the time they decided to make an announcement, which they said was going to be sometime this month, it'd be far too late for them to start collecting potential entries for a national final. And so instead, they've promoted their favourite spokesperson into the role of lead participant for once. So, yes, RTE have maybe learned their lesson and gone for an internal selection, I think, for the first time in Ireland's history at the contest. In any case, they've gone with former Westlife member and professional point giver Nicky Byrne. The media had a feeling it was going to happen eventually, so there you go. The song's called Sunlight, it's in English, so obviously I don't need to translate it or anything. Now, initial thoughts. Upon hearing the song for the first time, my feelings were so painfully mixed. Because the song does do a lot right, yes, but it's something of a roller coaster for me, at the very least my first few listens it was. For instance, there are some absolutely cracking lyrics in there, but there are also some not so great ones as well. For the most part, it sounds competently modern, which I'm surprised to hear, coming from something that RTE chose all by themselves. I mean, I'm still reeling from She's So Fine in the national final last year. No, Ireland! There are 1 or 2 places in the song where it sounds like something casually thrown together in Fruity Loops Studio or FL9 by a relative amateur, and Nicky and his associates, they made a big deal out of this. They're not amateurs, they've been going for years, they're popular across Europe, they're basically Ireland doing what we, the UK, did in 2011, but without the full group. That said, that is just my impressions listening to it through headphones and for the very first time. And so the latter point doesn't really come across if you're listening to it through speakers, as I discovered, so overall, I do want to like this song. It's good, it has a lot of potential to go either way, sort of like an editor for Song for Albania. But I think with a bit of the old Bishop Brennan treatment, if you get that reference, congratulations, it could be absolutely stunning. As it is, it's fine, but Nicky should be made aware that it doesn't really have the same impact through headphones, which, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't really matter because the contest is made to be viewed through speakers. We're supposed to make a big event out of it, but through headphones it's not perfectly optimized, which it impacted my first listening. I'll just say that much. And so, good points. First of all, props to Nicky for singing a song that is very much within his area of expertise. As an artist, he knows himself sufficiently well and what his strengths and weaknesses are, and the song caters to that without obviously being written just specifically to do so. So, it's a song that's designed to entertain while staying within his comfort zone, but not written just to be a song that's in his comfort zone. So for the most part as well, there are some good quality lyrics in there, like I said, ones that are both poetically sound and some that just sound plain quotable, fight like we're winners, love like beginners. It sounds like they quote it in one of those hype-building articles on fan sites or on one of those posts on Eurovision.tv when they're doing the rehearsals, like Ireland standing in the sunlight, or Nicky fighting like a winner for Ireland. Those articles. For the most part, almost none of them sound particularly forced or contrived as lyrics go. Combine their message with the overall happy sound of the song, and yes, you've got a radio-friendly, happy fun time, potentially chartable song. And now, if the song gets a re-release later in the year, kind of like Belarus last year or Ukraine 2014, that tightens up all the screws, so to speak, this song could go places. Not the top 5, I don't think, but places, all the same. Either way, I'll be interested to see how the live performance comes together on the night, since, as I found, the song sounds a lot better through speakers rather than headphones, and so a live performance, I think that's where it's really going to shine, although he should be a bit careful, because it's very easy to just fall into the trap of just have him standing static in the middle of the stage, a couple of backing singers, him doing the whole boy band fly arms thing. Like, it'd be really easy to fall into that, and it should be more creative than that, but not over the top. Because this song would lend itself well to a good live performance. Now the bad points, because I want this to be a balanced review, as I've said, most of the lyrics are great and not contrived. Most of them. But there are one or two points that just make me cringe. Stuff like how he'll be your lover boy. Like, really? Was that really necessary? We know you're from a 90s boy band. Please don't remind us, because it's 2016. You're 20 years ahead of when you were famous as a group. Don't fall into those old cliches, because you can move past that. And again, I could bring up the instrumentation, which, as I said, sounds fine enough through speakers, but particularly the percussion, it sounds really artificial through headphones. Like, as I said, very FL9. Besides that, there are points in the lyric video where he looks awkward and or just not fully convinced by what he's singing. But as a seasoned professional, he should be able to clear that up by May. So I'm just slightly worried that if he gets too complacent and doesn't try to practice the song enough, then he could be singing it in Stockholm, giving it all that with the boy band arm movements and all that. And he could be singing perfectly competently, but his eyes could look really bored or unconvinced or awkward or something. I'm just worried about that, but hopefully he can clear that up. One last complaint, which is a completely personal gripe. I've asked my mother about this, and she completely disagrees, but for me personally, when he sings the word sunlight, and this, as I said, this is literally just me that has a problem with this, he sings it as if it's two words. And so to me, it sounds like there's an awkwardly long pause when he sings about being in the sun light. Like he almost forgets how that word ends. Now that works at the end of the chorus, because then he can cut it off and just say, we're standing out in the sun. And that's fine. That works brilliantly as the end of the chorus. But at the start of the chorus, could he not just hold on the note? Just for me, could he not say in the sunlight rather than just in the sun? How does that word end? Light. Sunlight, that's the word. You see, it seems awkward just to me, but that might just be me. I don't know, I'm weird like that. Now, how would I rate this out of 10? Well, my initial reaction puts this anywhere between a 6 and an 8, to be honest, because there's the percussion, there's the awkwardness, but there's also the fact that it's possibly one of Ireland's best attempts ever. My mother is convinced that it's Ireland's best ever Eurovision song. I'm not fully convinced, but I don't know, it's certainly up there. It's certainly one of their most modern attempts. Yeah, I will concede it's very good, so I think I shall give this a 7. I would rate it a bit higher. I think I gave Playing with Numbers a 7 last year, but I'm on a slightly different scale this year. I think I still prefer Parala at this point in the Eurovision year, but this is still good. But I think it's worth 7 at the moment. Its composition and lyrics are great, but the lack of optimization for headphones, as I said, not completely relevant in the long run, left me with a very mixed first impression. Combine that with the occasional questionable lyric, and the way it's portrayed in the lyric video, him slightly awkward dancing like he doesn't really feel like he's convinced, and I'm not fully taken by the song. However, I completely expect that 7 to go up by the time we get to the actual contest. So for once, Ireland, I have faith that you might do adequately. So, how does it stack up to last year? Oh, good God, this is decidedly better. Playing with Numbers was pretty and delicate, but it was dated, even with that promising young artist at the helm. Its lyrics straddled the line between pretentious and nonsensical, although nowhere near as bad as Georgia's Warrior, but I'll give it that. And while it made for a pleasant enough listen, it was a slow grower, and it didn't sound like, it didn't stack up against others in its semi-final. Sunlight, on the other hand, is actively happy, it knows itself sufficiently well, it's not trying to impress beyond its means, it's not deluded about what it is, and most importantly, it almost sounds like a modern chart-worthy song in Ireland and the UK, at the very least. Maybe not the rest of Europe, I don't know. But one word of genuine advice, RTE, Nicky, whoever's watching and listening, do not over-Celtify this song like they did with Only Love Survives and Heartbeat and Playing with Numbers. That's a horrible trap that Ireland routinely falls into. Do not do the thing. Just leave it as the pop song it was written as. We know it's representing Ireland. We don't need river dancers and Gaelic drums and those old Celtic swirls in the background. We do not need to be reminded we know you're Ireland. Seriously, it just makes it cheesier. We get it, you're Ireland, just leave it as a pop song. So, will it qualify? If the live performance is as promising as it's shaping up to be, and if the levels of hype are sufficiently high, then I'd say Ireland stand a decent shot at the final this year. However, don't be too surprised if it doesn't make it. I can picture this song being a surprise non-qualifier just as easily as I can imagine it qualifying. It may well make it, don't get me wrong, but just be prepared for the possibility that it might not, especially if it's surrounded by other songs of equal or higher calibers. So how they stage the live performance will be crucial. A lot is at stake, Ireland. Do not mess this up. Just look into my eyes, please. Just promise me you won't try to add in a tin whistle and river dancing, because it's not needed. And it's pleasant, but it just trivializes the whole song and also your culture. So just leave it as a pop song, stage it well, maybe give it a slightly kicked up the arse version later in the year. They did say they announced it now so that Nicky would have time to go around all the other national finals and promote it. So you've got that bit going for you. Clearly, RTE are starting to learn. And so this year I will sincerely wish you good luck, Ireland. I don't really have any sassy comments to close on. Just good luck. You've got an interesting chance this time. I'll be interested to see where this ends up for you. See you in Stockholm.